Talk to me about getting Harrison Ford to return to the science fiction genre with Ender's Game.
Well, everybody keeps asking, how did you get Harrison Ford to come back to science fiction? And the truth is, we worked on the script and we sent it to Harrison's agent and hoped he would say yes. And I'm so pleased to say he said yes. And what I didn't know is that Harrison has a 12-year-old son, and he and I talked about how it would be nice to make a movie that we could make that would appeal to both adults and young people and engage maybe in some sort of conversation. Have fun watching the movie, create big, beautiful visuals, but still have ideas and themes and ideas that would be fun to talk about after you've seen the movie. You know, I don't think I can say that I always had Harrison in my mind, because I don't think I dared think that Harrison would do the movie. So I don't think, I think what you do is you try to write the best script you can, and then you send it out. And with, you know, movie stars, you don't call them in for an audition. You decide who you would like to go to and you send the script out, and you wait, because they get sent a lot of stuff. So I think when Harrison came on board, it was a huge boost to everyone on the project, because it's been many years trying to get this film made, and his endorsement and his warmth towards the project was huge, not just for marketing, but for us to say, okay, there's someone on board who's iconic but really likes this work. And of course, then the next challenge was, how do we find this young actor that has to play against him? And we auditioned all over the world. We saw, I don't know, hundreds of kids, and fortunately found Asa Butterfield, because without his intelligence, with his compassion, with his humility, but with his strength to get mad when necessary, I mean, these incredible layers that this character needs, without Asa's ability to deliver on those things, we really wouldn't have a movie, even with Harrison. And I love you, Harrison, but we needed Asa with you. I tested Asa by flying him out here, and I worked with him a lot. I worked with many young actors. We were just working through. There were some very talented young folks, but I showed Harrison Asa's audition, his final audition. And not just Harrison, I showed all of the producers as well, and we all felt we found our guy. Harrison said to me early on, he actually frightened me for a moment. He and Sir Ben Kingsley both said to me just the night before we were due to do the read-through, they both said, hey, listen, we're not going to come. We don't think we should meet these kids. What? No, Gavin, we got to intimidate them. We don't even think we should speak to them. In fact, Sir Ben, I don't think we should even meet them. Do you? No, I don't think so. And they were just winding me up. You know, it's like, okay, we'll come to the reading. Of course, we'll come to the reading. But our point is, let's not get too buddy-buddy with them, which was great and quite right. We shot the film in sequence. So, you know, apart from the fact that Asa grew 2 inches literally during the course of 4.5 months of shooting, he also grew emotionally. And that initial work where he's a little afraid of Colonel Graff, the real Asa is a little intimidated by Harrison Ford, which is precisely Harrison and Sir Ben's point. Let's not buddy up. Of course, Sir Ben had worked with him on Hugo, so that wasn't going to work. But Harrison had not, and he kept that slight distance for a while.
Tell me about the challenges. Obviously, this is an extremely popular set of novels. Tell me about the challenges of adapting the novel into the screenplay.
You know, this novel is very popular and there's a huge fan base. I happen to be one of those fans, so I'm intimidated about how... The biggest challenge, I think, is the fact that the journey that Ender's character goes through is not a typical one for a big mainstream movie. This is not a story about a good guy who's wronged and then gets the bad guy and sets the world right and everything's okay. This is a story in which a young character finds himself torn between his capacity for compassion and his equal but opposite capacity for genuine violence and aggression. And he has to find a balance between those two emotions. And the audience has to be willing to go on a journey with him while he does some things that are a little alienating. I mean, early on in the movie, you know, he does a couple of things that make you go, wait, I don't know if I like this kid. So what I decided to do in adapting the book, which helped me, I think, was, aside from the fact that you've got to condense, because I got to deliver this in 2 hours instead of 15 hours, is to stick with Ender Wiggin, the character, in every scene of the movie, in order for the audience to really bond with him and understand these shifting emotions that he has. and see him as a real person who we might not like at times, but then who we do like, that we don't quite understand, and then we empathize with, but really get to know, so that by the end, we're with him and can experience that moment of, I don't want to give it away, but that real twist that happens at the end of the movie, we experience it as if we're really him, as we're bonded to him. And so by putting him in every scene of the movie and never letting him go, you hold the audience with him. The problem is, you're asking a 12-year-old actor to carry a big mainstream movie. You know, there's a couple of scenes where he's actually not in, with Harrison and Viola, but then they're talking about him. For the rest, this kid has to carry the movie, and I think he does an amazing job of it. Asa Butterfield, we're really lucky we found this guy.
Do you feel that sci-fi is almost more accessible to audiences now because we are, in a sense, living in the future?
Yeah, I think one of the things that was so interesting when we looked at the book, and you know, my producers and I talked about this, is like, how are we going to make this look futuristic? And we went eventually, we're not. We're just going to do what's in the book, even though it was 30 years ago. He talked about desk pads. Well, we have iPads. Well, we are going to try to make them more cool. No, in a way, what's going to give us relatability to this story is that we ourselves are kind of beginning to use the kind of technology that's in the movie. And so all I wanted to do was take, for example, the concept that we use on the iPad of zooming in and zooming out, and in the final simulation room, say, well, how can we sort of put that on steroids? If you zoom in using a kind of gestural language or tilt the world, it's really just gestural language that we are already starting to use in other ways, so we understand it. We're just taking it to a new level. But what it is it's not so alien, if you'll excuse the pun, it's relatable. And I want audiences to relate to the character of Enda Wiggin as if they could be him. So I didn't want the technology to be so futuristic that you thought, well, I don't know how that would work. We can sense how this would work. It's better than what we have now, but it still works. Turn things, move things. We're doing it.